name's Andy Zliniak. I'm a manager of player development and on-ice programming. So I sort of oversee all of anything that happens on the ice here at the rink.
My name's Foster, by the way. I'm the development coordinator here on the player development side. Work underneath Andy. I kind of oversee all of the development and the staffing side.
I'll start.
Sure.
I think for our summer camps, really they're designed for players of all levels, age U9 to U15 for the most part. I think our camps for right from day one, I think the quality from our coaches, the facility, obviously, I think from day one, it just starts off with a bang. Whether it's kids coming to have fun with their friends, whether they actually want to learn and get better at hockey, we try to provide all of that within our camps.
Yeah, I think just jumping in there, I think like with our summer camps, we offer unique topics, whereas like kids, if they want to work on skating, we have the Edge power skating camp that can really focus on that. So I don't think it's very general. I think they're a little bit more specific in terms of, what do you want to improve on this off season? What are you looking at getting better at? And we're able to tailor kind of that development side to what they want.
Yeah, I think we moved from half-day camps to full-day camps mostly because for the parents that were dropping them off for the half days, whether they couldn't get here at lunch or whatever it was. So just to make it more beneficial, more efficient for parents and their kids to be here for the full day, for the full week. Yeah, I think that's the biggest part of it, just having the kids here for the full day rather than half days. Yeah.
I think you get more of like that consistency. So you're going to see the same coach, you're going to see the same coaching staff throughout the facility every day. I think you become a lot more familiar with the coaching staff, a lot more familiar with the players you're playing with. So it's an opportunity to create relationships and friendships out of that, which I think is something that the full day camp offers just a little bit more opportunity around compared to that half day camp. I think when you look at it, kids at different ages are going to want and look for different opportunities. So I think, again, we already discussed the uniqueness of the variety of topics we have. I think being able to address that at different ages is important. So something we've been toying around with and increasing our efforts is that 3-on-3, right? Where it's not so much development based, but it's, kids are coming for a week and they get to play a ton of games. Which after spring hockey, they've probably missed for, anywhere from 1 to 2 months. So I think that's a unique opportunity that we have where we're starting to explore a little bit more. Outside of that, like as we get geared up into August, we're going to see a lot more of the trial preps, the battle and competes, where now kids are, maybe they've taken a month or two off the ice and now they're getting back into the swing of things. So I think just the variety of offerings and kind of looking at that for each different age level is important and something that we spend a lot of time doing.
Yeah, and I think just to build off that with different camps that we have, if a parent wants, they can have a fun camp, a more serious camp, and then a camp to get ready for tryouts. So like we have our skating and skills camp where you're getting a touch on skating and skills techniques and everything. Then we got our skills to game, basically half skills and half game, so you get a best of both worlds. And then our 3-on-3 camp, which Fozzie mentioned, and then our tryout prep camp. So basically 4 weeks throughout the summer where if you were trying to utilize a camp to get better in every area, that's sort of where a parent would plug their kid into maybe 3 or 4 different camps because they're getting something different in every camp, right?
Yeah. I know like when I was growing up, it was like, you wait till the end of August, you had, took time off until you get a little bit older and you get a little bit more intense with your training. But it was like, okay, last couple of weeks of August, you're going to go to a hockey camp and get ready for tryouts or whatever it is. But I think the world's changing a little bit, where if you're taking 2 months off, depending on age, if you're taking 2 months off, you're missing that. So I think, again, that variety of, the competitive, the fun 3-on-3, skills to game, whatever it is, I think that kind of gives you the opportunity to stay on the ice, but, not train so intensively and still have fun with it.
Yeah, definitely. Like you have your summer camps for the younger players, and then as you sort of age out to even U13, some players, and then U15, obviously getting into the AAA, and then more serious with obviously the Western Hockey League draft coming up in those years. But yeah, like as you're younger, it's basically 1 or 2 weeks throughout the summer, as Fozzie mentioned, and then as you get to that U15 or even that U18 level, then it becomes a month in the summer or even the full summer where you're training and getting even more in depth of your skills.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for every camp, it's a little bit different. So if we look at that Edge camp, it's going to be a lot of technical skills. It's going to be a lot of teaching, a lot of fundamental skating stuff. So, I mean, if it's something that you're working towards throughout the off season to become a stronger skater, that's going to be your best bet. If you have just the intention to come and, have a little bit of teaching, play some games, then you're going to look at, the 3-on-3 camp or the skills to game camp. So again, I think it's tailored to the client's needs and kind of what they're hoping for in the off season. But that's my thoughts there.
Yeah, and I think obviously for summer camps, everyone wants it to be fun, right? And so Fozzie talked about the Edge program, it may not be fun on the ice, but within our off-ice components, our dryland components, our multi-sport components, that's where we can provide a little bit of fun just to mix it up within the day so it's not so structured in the teaching aspect. So I think, and not only the Edge camp, that's all of our camps, right? We have the boardroom, the classroom, the team builds, multi-sport, off-ice workouts. That's where not only on the ice where we want to learn, but we want to learn off the ice as well. So just trying to provide that for our clients every single day, whether it's the higher end Edge camp where you're getting taught more, or it's the fun camp, the 3-on-3 camp. Obviously it's going to be a lot of fun, but we want to make sure guys or kids are getting something out of it every time.
Yeah, and I think on top of that, if you look at the variety of camps are going to offer different daily components. So when we run our Edge or our skills to game out at Gateway, we have access to their field house. So then we're introducing, in terms of that balance, we're introducing multi-sport components. So, throughout the day, they get that opportunity to kind of dissociate from, playing hockey or thinking about hockey or talking about hockey. So they have the opportunity to throw football around, kick a soccer ball around, right? I think we do a pretty good job with the integration with Testify as well, where they've changed a lot of that programming where, they're talking about mobility. They're talking about, especially the younger ages, the fundamentals, emphasis on fun, playing games where it's forcing kids to work on their athletic abilities in terms of jumping, catching, right? So again, kind of getting away from being so hockey specific, but having that opportunity to tie the two together.
I think key on ice skills that players are going to take away from our camps, obviously it'll depend on which camp they attend. But if we take, for example, our skating and skills, basically within that camp, during the morning session, they're going to get a skating skill. In the afternoon, they're going to get a shooting or a passing or a puck skill. Within that, obviously, progressions throughout the week, we want to make sure that the kids are actually progressing. So not within our curriculum, we have age specific. So the U9s are working on something completely different than the U15s will be working on in progression state. But I think for players as they're coming through, number one is to have fun. Number two, I think building the skill that they want to work on and trying to master that skill. And then number three, just making sure that they're here, they're getting something out of it, right? So.
Yeah, I think on top of that, if we speak to the coaching side of it, we're going to have consistent groups, consistent coaches with those groups. So, a lot of our coaches are going to be able to see, if the U15s excelled at this skill, they're able to move forward. And we trust our coaches to kind of trust that process of that mastery of, okay, they've done this, this might be on the curriculum, but we're well past that, right? So we can take that step forward. So it's a little bit more innovative, and we have the opportunity within our coaching staff to, make those adjustments, the day of or before going out on the ice. And I think it's unique that we have the ability to trust our coaching staff to do that. I mean, we pride ourselves in running a top-notch hockey camp. I know I've overseen them for 4 or 5 years now, and just the innovation we take at the end of the summer, looking at our successes, looking at our failures, where can we make adjustments? I think that's something we're continuously trying to push. Is just a lot of kids come to RINK camps every summer. We want them to be able to anticipate or expect something different when they come the next summer. So I think our coaching staff, the consistent coaches throughout the week, where we can provide kids feedback, provide parents feedback, let them know, have that familiar face every time they come through the doors, super important and unique to our camps, as well as just the integration with a variety of different pieces. So obviously the Testify performance integration is massive. I think that's a massive tool that we use and that we've become pretty solid at integrating throughout each age, obviously differently between the ages, but I think that's something that is pretty unique and special to what we offer.
Yeah, so as a kid, the camps that we had were obviously a little bit different. We had the sweat camp, we had Dragon Lady, what else did we have? But there's very minimal hockey development or skating development companies or anything like that as we were, or as I was growing up. There wasn't skill development, there wasn't skill coaches, there wasn't anything like that. So it's come a long way. It's come a long way. I think the difference now is that the coaches, obviously, they care a little bit more. They're putting in more time to develop players at every level. So I think like difference between now and then, obviously there's way more camps now. I think it's sort of watered down. I think what we provide is second to none within the hockey camps and hockey training within our area. But yeah, I think like back in the day, it was just bag skate, get ready for camp, like Fozzie mentioned earlier, last week of August, get your skates back on because you just had 2 months off, playing other sports, whatever it may be. But it's a completely different landscape now. And like I tell my parents about the stuff that's happening now, and it's like they don't even have a clue. They wouldn't even know what to do. So it's like, how can we provide that information to parents? Well, that's our job to do that, right? And making sure that we can provide them with the right tools, coaches and everything. Obviously, the facility is perfect. So, it's a completely different landscape for hockey training now than it was back then.
Yeah. I think on my end, I came up a little bit after you did, Z. A little bit younger than you.
Couple of years.
Yeah. I think, same thing. Like even when I was growing up, it was just like, like I said, before I got like very hockey specific and trained intensively, it was, a camp or two before the season started, which was, based around sweat equity, just, getting back into shape, getting your legs, your lungs back. Like we said, now the hockey world's changing, right? We don't look at it that way. There's still the opportunity to get back on the ice at the end of August, but we don't see a lot of players taking off the entirety of the summer, really. So I think it's changed in that mind. I think for me to be so invested and involved in these camps is super important because when I think back to my experience in hockey camps, it was, a lot of fun, positive experiences, making friends from kids all over the province, right? I think that's something that I try to reflect into our programs and our camp offerings. And it's, just trying to make this a positive experience for everybody, very similar to how I did or what I had growing up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think within our camps, like I know Fozzie, myself, and all of our other coaches, like we try to breed passion of hockey, passion of learning hockey, being students of the game, and it's just like you see it, you see the enthusiasm, you see the positive reinforcement. It's contagious throughout the players. So I think like Fozzie said, like it's completely different, and we want to give back to what our positive experiences were now to those kids.
Yeah, I think generally we have extremely positive feedback. There's going to be the outliers where, some kids might not have the best experience. But I think with that in mind, we talked about it before, where we're reviewing that stuff, we're speaking with clients, we want to have their feedback, we want to hear how their experience was. Because a lot of those experiences are going to be shared, whether they're positive or the odd outlier that are negative, right? So we want to make sure we're adjusting things to make sure we're creating as positive of an environment as we can. I think when we get back to it, I think kids enjoy this place, right? Like we see a ton of clients come back summer to summer, and it's awesome to see a smiling face. I do my best job to remember everyone's name, but just like seeing parents, seeing kids come up throughout their ages, like, you work with a kid, now he's back and he's playing, U13 AA or whatever. And it's like, oh, that was awesome. Like, how was your year? So just kind of creating that community and that feeling around it. I think that's the best part.
Yeah, I think feedback for me is at the end of the day or at the end of the week when the kids fist pumping you saying, thanks coach, thanks for the week. Parents are there with smiles on their faces. Like that's huge for us. Like as long as it's a successful, positive environment, I think that players are going to excel in that environment, right? And whether they want to do it recreational or competitive, that's the passion that we want to breed down to them. So.
Yeah, I think the latest would have been our newly introduced 3-on-3 tournament last summer. That was kind of shot in the dark, and it ended up being really, really fun. A great experience. I know we had to make some adjustments throughout the week. It was a bit of a learning curve for us, but now we know, and we're offering 2 of them this summer. But I think on that side, like we saw the playoff games both go into overtime, and it was just like everyone was out there watching, parents, all the other kids. I think that was just like, when I organized it and we put it together, that was like the best way it could have gone. It was just like nail biting 3-on-3 at the end of the week. It was a lot of fun and it worked out really well.
Yeah, I think for me, like every day, like I don't work with kids camps until the end of summer. which is probably my favorite part, to work with these kids. Like we get to work with the pros. So like during the day when those kids come over and they're doing on the track, they see the pros on the ice. So that's something special for the kids to see, all the NHL guys. But yeah, like honestly, like for me, it's just every day when you see the kids going through their facility, you give them the fist pumps. It's just such a fun environment for not only the kids, but for us as well. That's, we lived it before and we know how much fun it can be. So we're just trying to provide that every single day. But yeah, I think just overall, it's just an awesome experience to have these kids roll through the facility on a day-to-day basis.
I like the aspect, like I know we're pushing our coaches to talk about like goal setting and thinking, personal advancement and personal development. So I know like throughout the classrooms and different things, it'll be like, what's a goal you have this week? Is there something you're coming into camp that you really want to work on? So almost forcing kids to have that kind of intrinsic motivation of, okay, I'm here for the week and there's a couple things I want to do. So I think that probably provides them a little bit more of that internal, thought process surrounding where they might not get that throughout their spring season or throughout their winter season. Yeah, absolutely. I think Z mentioned it. Like, some of the kids are going to come in, especially if they're new to RINK, they're going to be, we call it raw, where they don't have that, like they're going to have skill, but they don't have a ton of technical developed skill. So I think if you come into, whether it's skating and skill, shooting and scoring, trial prep, whatever it is, and there's maybe a topic that's new, introduced to you, a lot of players are going to be able to pick that up and see a lot of improvement and development in that specific area.
Yeah, like for me, I want kids to be kids still, right? And like if they're at that age of whatever it is, 7 to 12, like if they're serious on hockey and their parents know and their parents are serious about hockey, then if it works in their schedule, try to get them in as much as they want, right? Like try to feed that passion. But obviously, if your kid isn't into hockey, maybe they have a buddy that plays hockey and they just want to be with them for the week. I would say don't force it. Don't force it. We want your kid to have fun. We don't want him to be forced to go to the rink and not like his time here from the get-go, right? Obviously, when they get here, we try to change that attitude around a little bit and be friendly with them and all that. But I think for balance of whether it's camping, other sports, and then hockey, for me, I've always believed in letting kids be kids. But if there's that kid who is a phenom and they just want to be on the ice all the time, I would say have at it. Like make sure that you're picking and choosing right camps and making sure that the kids are happy when they're going to it. But I think it all depends on the parent or the family and the kid too, right? So.
Yeah, I think their experience is going to be based on their headspace coming into camp. So we've seen it time and time again where kids are going to come to 6 weeks of hockey camps. It might be 3 of the same camp where they're doing the same thing. So I mean that's a lot for a young athlete. So I think just ensuring, like, if you're a parent looking for these, chat with your kids, see how much are they really wanting to come to a hockey camp, because they are long weeks. It's a lot of work, and if they get to week 3 and 4 where they're coming back consistently, they might not be in the right headspace where they want to come and have that, or even be open to that positive experience that we're trying to create. Yeah, I think so. I think when you look at age specific, we see that early specialization in hockey coming a little bit more prevalent at earlier ages. Clients I work with, parents I'm close with, I try to steer away from that as long as we can. I think just, creating an athlete is something completely different than creating a hockey player. So I personally really strongly believe in creating an athlete, having a multi-sport athlete. So I think, creating some time for other sports, whatever it is super important. Yeah, so the hammer bucket is something we've been doing for a long time, as long as I've been here. And basically, Z, you can jump in, but it's in honor of a dear friend that RINK has, and many of us have, Cole Hamblin, who lost a super courageous battle with cancer. So we give out an award to one award every group throughout the season or throughout the summer. And it basically recognizes a player who's hardworking, determined, and just overall good person. So that comes out on Friday. We make the kids aware on the Monday. We say you're working towards this. I think the concept of it is a lot more important than what it is. I think they get 25% off a new helmet or something, which is great. But I think the concept of just like, this isn't an individualized skill. It's not the best player in the group, right? This is going to be a kid who's asking questions, who's, working hard, who's determined to get a little bit better, and just as overall a good person. So, I mean, a lot of the time when we talk about it with our coaches, it's, our favorite kid within the group, right? Just someone who's really good, someone who's listening really well. And just, it's more so that reward on the personality, that character side of things. We're not worried about, if they can skate, shoot. We don't care about that, right? Like, it's just recognizing something completely different.
Yeah, and I think it's unique. Like, obviously we want to build better hockey players, but at the end of the day, we want to build better people. And I think this Hammer Bucket is a great way to start off the week. Explain to them why it's important, explain to them how they can win it and have a chance to win it. But I think it goes a long way throughout the entire summer. It's something the kids look forward to, like we mentioned earlier. Yeah, definitely. I think right from the start of our summer camps, that's when we start our R1 summer program, which is our older players. It's an absolute vibe in here all summer. I think not only with our older players, but we have the little guys running around the facility. We have a couple of years ago when Vegas won the Stanley Cup, Keegan Kolesar and Howden brought the Stanley Cup in. So that was an extremely a cool experience for those kids, for us too. We got to see the cup, right? So it's those little things, and that's just one small thing, but those little things added up to that special experience that we want to have here at the rink. So not only is it buzzing, but we got music going on both sheets. Parents are in watching. So throughout the entire summer for the whole 9 weeks, it's really fun to be here for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I think on top of that, I think just having those pro players skate is so cool. Because we'll get up there with groups and they're pointing guys out. It's oh, who's that? Who's that? Who's wearing the Red Wings gear? Different things like that. And it's, I think, super cool. We even see parents come up early and just sit there and watch the pro group. So, I mean, you're watching basically an NHL practice in the morning for, 15 minutes before your kid goes on the ice or whatever. So I think it's pretty unique and special. Yeah. So the beauty point system is something we came up with last summer. So we ran the kind of test trial last summer. It turned out to be really, really good. So basically what that's going to be is if we're in the facility, we have 3 groups. So the U9, U11, and the U13 group. They're all competing against one another as teams. Basically how it works is great behavior, listening, whatever it is, work ethic. They're going to be awarded with beauty points. And then on the other side of that, if we're not listening, if we're having issues where players are misbehaving or whatever it is, or being mean to each other, leaving the dressing room a mess, then they're going to lose beauty points. So we keep a tally throughout the week, and whichever group wins with the most beauty points gets an award at the end of the week. So I think it's just, when it came down to it, in the past we've used the 3-strike system, where we're sitting a kid on the bench, we are send them off the ice, they get a timeout, 3rd strike, they go home. It doesn't happen very often. It has happened in the past, right? I think this is just a little bit better of a way to put that accountability within the group setting, as well as just managing behaviors a little bit more appropriate, I feel. Yeah, so we'll definitely have coaches on standby within the dressing rooms to help players get dressed. I find with the U9, because they're first on the ice, a lot of the time parents can hang around, get their kid dressed. They don't want to leave them in the big building alone. We see a lot of shy, timid kids at that U9 level at the start of the day. But if a parent's got to run to work, then it's no issue, right? We're going to have 3-4 coaches flying around the facility, showing kids to their dressing rooms, getting them jerseys, and then obviously helping them get dressed. Same thing from the U11. Sometimes U13 groups, we see kids who can't tie their skates very well. So my rule of thumb is you got to try, right? And then one of our coaches will finish them off. I think that's just a learning experience, something where, we challenge the kids to get to that point. And then, if you're not strong enough or you have those waxed laces, then I'm going to come in and help you tighten them up. But I mean, by the end of the week, we often see kids then being able to tie their skates. So I think that's something we're introducing this year as well, is with the U9 group, is a little skate tying tutorial. So through one of our classroom sessions, they're going to bring their skates in and just think about, this is how we loosen them, this is how we tighten, and just kind of get the ball rolling there. So parents, yeah, you're welcome for that.
I think when an athlete leaves one of our camps, for us is important that they want to come back. Right. So whether it's the next week or the next summer, maybe they're from out of town. As soon as they leave, they say, I want to come back next summer. So for me, I think it's just getting the players back in our facility, right? With care and passion and everything that we want to build off, right? Having them want to be here. So I think for me, it's just having them want to come back to the rink.
Yeah, I think on top of that is just like, an overall positive experience, as Z said. But I think like the growth of, both that person as a player as well as just an individual. So when we think about, different team building exercises, like working through communication and teamwork and problem solving, it's just like, we're going to play a bunch of games, and it just like challenges their ability to maybe, get to know a kid they don't know at all and get comfortable, get outside their comfort zone, meet some new people, and then work through, teamwork, point different things out. So I think those are some of my favorite experiences, is where kids, come out of their shell a little bit. Maybe the first 2 days are a little bit more timid, but now they got a couple buddies and now they're really expressing themselves. That's kind of what I'm hoping for a kid to come away from camp.